Almost 20 years ago, I saw a movie and recently it hit me in a completely different way. The movie is called Click with Adam Sandler, and the idea of the movie is that at some point he got in the possession of a remote control with which he could control time. He could slow it down, speed it up, or skip some parts which he didn't like.
Skipping shower and skipping getting dressed and looking sexy.
And I realized that that's exactly what we are doing with social media today. When I'm waiting for an appointment or commuting on public transportation, what I tend to do is to open social media and scroll in order to pass the time until the appointment. So basically all the bits of waiting times that I have during the day, I replace with social media. And that's actually just a way to skip life. It's like pressing the skip button and go to next event. The movie was released in 2006, Facebook was launched in 2004, YouTube was launched in 2005, and Twitter in 2006. So at that time, the social media was not so popular as nowadays, and we didn't have TikTok, Instagram, and other fancy social media. At that moment, skipping life was not as obvious as it is nowadays. Most of the times, I'm trying to escape boredom, and that's why I use social media, because it also gives a false sense of doing something productive, when in reality it's not. There are some interesting statistics on the topic that 80% of people forget everything they watch on social media in about 3 days, and 50% of people cannot recall anything from what they watched last week. So even if I have this feeling of productiveness, it's actually not productive. But the problem is even bigger, because I start to use it just to fill the gaps. So instead of waiting, I will scroll social media. But then it got into my life, so I was using it even when I was not waiting for anything. For me, this is exactly what skipping life feels like. And during the last year, I had problems with 3 activities: video games, Netflix, and social media. And I don't think the problem is in the activity itself, but in how we do it. I will explain in a moment. I believe we can use any of these activities in a good way and in a not so good way. When I moved to Thailand, I had a lot of free time, and in order to fill it up with some pleasant activities, I decided to play some video games. At first it was nice, but then every next day was giving me less pleasure than the previous one. At some point, I was playing just to escape reality, and not because I enjoyed it so much. And the problem with it is that I cannot tell the difference between the days in which I was playing. And I don't recall anything else rather than the fact that I was playing that game for an extensive period of time. But when I was living in Prague, it was different. I had a friend who had a gaming computer, and once every 2 weeks, but not regularly, we were gathering and playing games together. And it was a lot of fun. We were laughing a lot, we were killing each other, talking about life, and the experience itself was completely different, and I was always looking forward to it, and I remember all the games we played together. In my opinion, this was a much better way of spending time playing video games. And video games are great, they can bring a lot of fun, a lot of pleasure, but we need to be careful on how we do it. The second activity that wasted a lot of my time last year was watching Netflix. And again, I believe there is a good way of doing it and a bad way of doing it. In Thailand, I was doing it in a bad way, because me and my wife, we had a lot of time and we were watching a lot of Netflix TV series. We could watch 6 to 8 episodes per day. After 2 weeks of watching TV series, we realized that we spend more time on scrolling in order to find the next movie we will watch or the next TV series than maybe the movie itself. And I think the reason we did this was because we didn't actually want to watch TV series. We just wanted to fill our free time that we have in order to skip life and to go to something more interesting, potentially. When we were living in Prague, we were still watching Netflix, but it was in a completely different way. I remember we were watching Wednesday, 1 episode per week. And after each episode, we were discussing it, brainstorming. I really enjoyed watching the TV series and I enjoyed every discussion afterwards. And even now we have good memories of that TV series. This year the situation is better, because I canceled the Netflix subscription and I sent my PlayStation to Romania, so I don't play video games anymore. But social media is still a big part of the problem. One of the reasons is because of its accessibility. I have it always with me, so whenever I get bored or I need to wait for something, I can just open some YouTube shorts, check them out. I think that even with social media, there is a bad way of doing it and a good way. If we are doing it just to skip to next action, I don't think it's a good use of it. But if I watch it together with my wife, for instance, and we are having a good laugh because we're watching some comedy or we are seeing some interesting interior design videos, that way it will be much better. What I suggested to my wife is that during the day we can watch whatever videos we enjoy. But when we spend time together at home, we are only allowed to scroll social media together. I don't know how it will work out, but we will try. Let's see what happens. If you have a solution of how to deal with skipping life for social media, please let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching and see you next time.